normally like, yeah, we should get together for dinner. It tweaks some of them to the point where they'll then ask me for something a little bit later. They'll say, hey, I was just thinking, I met somebody else today, like Tom did. Would you mind meeting them? Or sometimes, do you know anybody that could, help them? They're trying to figure out, they've got a college kid, they're trying to figure out how to get into medicine, some school or other. Do you know anybody? I'll be like, well, as a matter of fact, one of the boards I sit on is the Fisher Center for Alzheimer's Research. I happen to know somebody at Sloan Kettering Hospital who's one of the lead consultants in cancer research associated with nutrition. Would it be helpful? They're like, oh my God, that would be fantastic. All I have to do is then pick up the phone to Dr. Moshe Shaikh and say, hey Moshe, would you mind doing a favor for a friend of mine? Can you spare 20 minutes on the phone? That's how networking works. So my encouragement to you is to never say die on your work on networking, and through your whole career, never stop. You never get too senior to do it. You never lose the benefit of doing it, if you do. And you never stop helping others if you build your own network, because you can use your network to help them. If you don't build the network, if you miss the opportunity to have those contact details, and then someone comes into your life, I just mentioned Moshe Shaikh. He's a great friend of mine now. But even when he wasn't a great friend, when I just met him for the first time, my deputy at Reuters came to see me. She is a wonderful lady, Anna. She came to see me, she was in tears in my office, because her mother had just been diagnosed with a brain tumor. She didn't know what to do. I said, well, all right, okay, what kind of people are looking at it? And she said, oh, I don't know. And she said, they talk in double Dutch. I think it's a great hospital, but I'm not totally sure. And I said, well, look, let me make a phone call for her. Even if you don't move your mom, you get some kind of benefit from being able to talk to somebody else and getting another opinion. So I called Dr. Shaikh in Sloan Kettering. I told him, and he said, have a call me. I don't want to talk to you anymore, you don't know anything about it. Have a call me. Yeah? So he called her, and she came to see me later, and that day, and she said, oh my God, I can't believe the gift that you just gave me. And it's rewarding when you can do that. But Anna doesn't play golf. She also should, but she doesn't. But what she did was have the courage to come and tell me something personal that she needed help with, because she had confidence in the relationship. And what I did was just open a door. And that's what networking is all about. So I'm going to pause for a second, because I'm conscious I can't take you for the whole afternoon, even though I maybe could. And while you're thinking, if you have any questions, I just want to say, I know you've got the guys from Westchester Country Club here in a few minutes. And I always have a golden rule that I broke today. I broke it by being a speaker after your president, because I normally say never speak after somebody that you can't possibly compete with. And equally, never speak right before the golf pros from Westchester Country Club about anything to do with golf. Right? But there's one of those guys, Danny Bailyn, who's over there, and you're going to meet him later, who is one of the best young golf pros in this area from a golfing ability point of view. Used to be at the club that I remember on Burning Tree in Greenwich, and we regard him as an absolute traitor for leaving us to join Westchester Country Club, but he is an awesome guy, and if you get the chance to make a connection with these guys, think about what I was saying. I encourage you, I plead with you to think about people from this day forward through a different lens. Think about them through the lens of not just who they are, but what they are, what they do, and what kind of person they are. Think about all the people these guys at Westchester Country Club know that in this area have a friend who knows something about something who knows somebody. Yeah? Build your networks. Don't look at these guys and just say, oh yeah, that was nice, they told me how to, we watched them, we now know how to hold a putter. Right? See them as a connection that should be there for your whole life in some form or another. I'm not saying you're driving them crazy with emails every 5 minutes, but every now and then, connect with them. If you do want to play golf at some point and you don't today, or you do play golf and you want to get better, pick up the phone to one of them and don't just say, hey, did you guys at Westchester Country Club give lessons? You say, hey, Danny, do you remember when you came and you did that presentation to us in that gymnasium hall? And you told us about it? I was in the audience. And then ask if he can help you improve your golf, get a lesson, get the contact. And even if they can't do it themselves, which they probably can, what's he going to do? He's going to say, yeah, I'll help you up. I'll call so-and-so. I'll send an intro for you. What did you do if you do that? You build a connection because they're here today. Don't let it go. That's my advice to you. So I'm going to pause for a second because I'm getting a signal that I've already gone on too long. So let me just see if there are any questions and if I can help you in any other way. And if not, then I'm happy as well to hang around for a while and take questions one-on-one. So, anybody got a question for me? Yes, sir.
I remember. Okay, got it. My name's Ellie, and I remember that you said which one of you, like a routine, follow up on your connections. My dilemma here is, what if you have like a bunch of connections, and how would you be able to follow up with so many people like constantly?
That's a great question, thank you. I told you before, I have 4,000 in my contact list, and I can't follow up with all of them. But I break them down, and I put in, what I do is I have them categorized. And I have them categorized by, in a sense, it's a different form of prioritization. I have some contacts that I actually have no intention of following up with. And I have others that I want to follow up with really, really frequently, like every 3 months or so, if I haven't had another opportunity to bump into them. So if I do bump into them, that's fine. I don't need to follow up with a sort of a chaser or whatever. But I, generally speaking, cycle through them. And I keep my, sometimes it's on a cadence that's fairly frequent. Sometimes it's just I won't let a year go by without. Which means that connection might be that I send them a Christmas card, right? Or it might be that I wait until I left Thomson Reuters and I joined KPMG and I send them a note through LinkedIn. Social networking makes it so easy to stay in touch with people. You know, if you keep your profile on LinkedIn, A, you have a profile, and B, you make it an ad for yourselves, and you keep it up to date, you can use it so easily to stay in touch with people. Cut and paste on email, on computers rather, it makes it really quick to send someone a note if you want to. So there's no real excuse. But sure, you don't keep up with them all, you decide which ones. I keep track, though, of the ones that I have not connected with over a period of time, like within last year, and then I make a decision, do I want to send them a tweet note or not? And then I do it. And the other thing I do is on every one of my contacts, pretty much, I have, like I said before, a little note that reminds me of the context of that connection. So when you think of connections, most of the time you actually make the mistake of thinking about friends. People are close to you and you know exactly, the context that they're in your life because they're social, or you work for them. A lot of contacts you meet though, the context will be, I sat next to them at a conference. I was at a charity dinner and they were across at the same table. I was introduced to them by Bill Rubin, the business contact in the real estate world. So I make notes to remind myself where I met them and what the context was. It was at the United Way charity dinner in 2014, introduced by Bill Rubin. I'll put that in my notes. And then if I bump into them sometime later, I can remind myself really fast. And the connection I draw isn't, are they a big golfer or are they anything else? It's, I remind them of where we met. Right? And they immediately pick up that connection because it gives you something to talk about. And then you lead the conversation wherever you want it to go. Yeah? If I'm talking to somebody and they do have to drop into conversation, but they're a keen golfer and they're a member of Wingfoot. Well, I'm a keen golfer and I kill to play at Wingfoot, so I'll often make a little note saying, Wingfoot member. That's a connection I want to build, right? Or whatever it is that grabs your interest. Yeah? I said to my daughters, the other day, they both said to me that they wanted to do something to give back to the community more than they were able to do at their own. And they both said to me, Dad, you're on the board of the United Way from New York City, which I am. And I love that charity and we do a lot of wonderful things. But they said, do you think that's one we could get involved in? And I said, sure, because we love having young people. There is a United Way, young persons committee. And I said, I'll open the door for you. I'm on the board, but I'll make one call. What you do after that is up to you kids. Right? I'm not going to force you to do anything. They called the person who runs the junior committee at United Way and said, hey, the two girls would like to get a call. You give them a call and just advise them on how they can, how they can engage. And then before you know it, Jenny's running with the partner of the New York office the United Way fundraising campaign in Deloitte, nationally, for their United Way fundraising. She's proudly showing me this picture of her with the New York partner, on posters that were all around the country, advertising United Way, and joking with me. I hope she was joking when she said, maybe I'm doing more than you are now. But the point is, I didn't know that. But now, through that connection, through engaging with United Way, guess what? She has now got a great connection with the partner in charge of the New York office. They're sitting there strategizing about raising money. So it's, again, connections, and that's what I came here to tell you about. So I'm not quite hard on that anyway. And these guys are about to show you how to play golf, and I'm about to stop talking. The last question, any advice to me, irrespective of where I worked or what job I did or who I worked for. And to this day, I still call them, the ones that are still alive, with the problems that I have. I call them with problems that are literally what I was saying before. How should I deal with this situation? This is like, totally stressed and difficult. I don't know what to do. Have you ever come across it? And half the time, maybe more than half the time, maybe 3/4 of the time, they were experienced enough and knowledgeable enough to just answer the question for me. It took them almost no time. The other quarter of the time, they'd be like, well, that does sound like a tricky thing. Guess what? I know somebody who is in HR in a big company and probably has come across this problem 100 times over. Let me give Bob a call for you. And they'd introduce me to somebody else because they just wanted to help even if they couldn't do it themselves. I would say 7, but my very first one started right back there when I told you before I even had a job, before I joined Pricewaterhouse. My last one is in my current job. I have a mentor at KPMG who I have dinner with him literally every 3 months, sometimes every 2 months. I had dinner with him the night before last, and we go out, and the dinner is, okay, so tell me what's going on. Let's hear about it. Let's see, how are you doing? What are you doing this? How can I help? It's the greatest question anybody can ever ask you. And it's what mentors do ask. How can I help you? And that's what they did for me. And people have helped me so much, I think that's fueled why I want to try and help others. But either way, that thing that says, how can I help, is something you should never turn away or fail to have an answer for. Because answering it the right way is what then builds the depth of the relationship, and enables you to draw people in to be vested in your success and to help you grow yourself, grow your networks, and then do what? Help others. And that's what it's all about. That's coming right back around to KPMG. That's the culture we want to create. That's what we try to do in Montbell, where I'm the managing partner. It's not about, have I got a team of rock stars individually? It's about, have I got a rock star team? My favorite, and I'm going to finish with this after this one question, I will come to you in a second, but this crossed my mind with one thing. I love the idea, the analogy in business of an orchestra. And just so that I can make the point about you don't have to be good at something to talk about it, or to draw a connection with it. I am arguably the most out-of-tune musician in the free world. But I look at an orchestra, and I think about it, and I think, you could have an orchestra filled with the best musicians, the best on the violin, the best on the trumpet, the best on the drums, or whatever, individually. And if they play out of sequence with each other, it sounds like the most horrific noise from a bunch of 5-year-old kindergarten kids. But if you're a conductor of that orchestra, and you can get them to play in symphony with each other, and sing, it's the most beautiful sound you can ever hear. And it's the same people. The only difference is whether they're working together or they're working against each other. So in business, building connections, building teams, working with other people, drawing your connections and theirs, and trying to make one and one more than two, is what everything's about. Sorry, you did have a last question. I said it before, please. I'll take it. Sorry, I'm running late.
Hello everyone, my name is Richard from St.Thomas from Montclair State University. I want to know how long does it take for a contact to become stable? And when a contact becomes stable, how do you resuscitate that connection or contact?
Thank you for that question, great question. It's, I don't think there's a scientific answer to that, but my rule of thumb is 1 year. If I haven't connected with somebody for 1 year, generally speaking, I'm a little like, okay, now I need to work on putting it back in place. Whereas if it's less than a year, somehow it feels like it's not that long ago. And it's not, I say it's not science, it's just my own rule of thumb. How I deal with it if I've let a contact go too stale and I do it way too often is actually by being as kind of, it's another life lesson in my sense, by being as transparent and honest about the whole thing as I can. I normally call them and apologize, take the blame myself. I could be more of a, more tricky about it and blame them as well because they didn't call me either. But the fact is I don't. I'll call them up and I'll say, hey, do you know how long it is since we connected? I am so sorry that I let it go this long, but we need to correct it and we need to correct it soon. So let's at least grab a coffee sometime, or I'll send them the note that I talked about. But I generally apologize if I think it's gone stale. And what I find is that if you fall on your sword like that, generally speaking, people pick you up and they carry on where they left off. And it's good. Last thing I want to say before I close. I was thinking about what to say to you today, and I hope I've covered the kind of thing that's helpful for you all. I revisit what I said at the start, which is my goal was just one thing for one person would mean it was worth being here. And so I hope I have. I didn't really bother looking at the notes I brought in, but I do want to look at these because when I was looking last night at and thinking about what we would talk about today, I decided to take a little look at one of the books that I had that has golf quotes in it, and some of the golf pros that are out there playing on the PGA Tour, and I thought, I wonder what they would see as the best advice they got. And the context of the advice they got was golf, succeeding in golf. And I looked at a few of them and I thought, boy, those are so far beyond golf. Just like golf is a game of ethics. You learn more about somebody playing golf than you ever will in an interview. You see what it's like under stress, under frustration, all that. You see whether they're a cheat. If you ever play golf with a cheat, don't hire them. And so if that's your ethical compass, I was thinking, probably the quotes carry across as well. So let me just share a couple with you, and then I'll sit down and hand over the mic. So Steve Stricker, a great golf pro, he was asked the question. He said, best advice I ever got, if you're going to come out here and play, be prepared. Stands for everything in business too. If you're going to make a presentation, if you're going to talk to somebody, if you're going to have a meeting, be prepared. Second one, Jim McLean Make sure to listen a lot to many different people. Great career advice. He was told it for golf, but it carries, and I would really recommend it. Bo Van Pelt. Don't ever take things for granted and get complacent. Complacency in networking translates to stale networks. You can't call them when they're stale. Annika Sorensen, one of my favorite ever. There are no shortcuts to success. You have to work at it. I think you should carry it. That for your whole life, as well as the one I have from Graham McDowell. Graham McDowell said the best advice he ever got on golf, and I think he carries perfectly into business, is enjoy it, live it, have fun, laugh, and celebrate. And in the workplace, I think you should do the same thing. And if you can't, you should find a different workplace. And then the last comes from the greatest golfer, in my view, the world has ever seen, and that might be controversial if anybody thinks Tiger Woods is that person, but Jack Nicklaus. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Live your life that way. So I looked at those quotes, I wanted to share them with you, because I think every one of them was a quote aimed at golf, but applies to business and your life, your family, your friends. Every day, I really recommend you think about those things, especially yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery. Go for it. Be brave, there's nothing to lose. Thank you.